Good morning. Whew. Um, I definitely don't know today. Definitely. I am sure. Turn this other light on. Um, Definitely would like these new lights. They're like bright lights. They're terrible lighting. I wish I could change the hue on these LEDs. They're LEDs, so they're like terrible. But today is just that. And we're gonna switch it up a little bit. Just and posterior chain, so hamstrings, glutes. Typically, we do just like legs, just like squats and stuff, but I'm mixing it up today. The Because the problem is I do Romanian deadlifts like a pulling. Those man just cooked. Not exist. So I want to try doing Romanian deadlifts chest day on these days versus doing them on back days because I've done them on back days like pretty much my and, just my grip and my lats just really feel super duper fatigued. So I'm gonna try something else. Definitely went to bed a little later, 30. Oh, we didn't get our perfect 8 hours of sleep like me. What I got 7 hours and 15 minutes. As I would like to be, but it is what it is. Night gaming to like that game to like 10:45. Just not conducive. I gotta I'm gonna wake up so early. Typically I'm asleep by 10:30. If I sleep at 10:30, then 8 hours, 6:30 in the morning. So try to prioritize it, you know. I think everyone should do that. I need to text my brother-in-law. He's one of those guys that he's very similar to like me in a lot of ways, where they think they can perform well with lack of sleep. And the fact of the matter is that's not true. No, sleep is just so important to your just general functionality. And you think this is the one thing that got me. It was fucking crazy. So I was reading uh, you could say clip, where it was forgot what you call it when they take a study and then they combine it, or they basically put it in layman's terms for people. Basically, what they found was when you when you're when you're sleep deprived, your body eventually thinks that that is normal in a way, and when it thinks it's normal, then even though that you're getting not enough sleep, your body thinks it's enough sleep, so you just continue to not sleep enough until you get a good night's sleep. Like you'll notice the difference. It's fucking weird. Your body. I think it's just adaptation. Long-term chronic undersleep is just bad for you. And I fucking hate sleeping. Hate it. Yeah, it's very important for gains. Very important for just cognitive thinking. A lot of my old clients in the past, they were doom scrollers. Man, I used to be a doom scroller. The trick for doom scrolling, for it works for me, is to understand. Like for me, it's always like, okay, why am I doing something? What do I get about out of it? What's the purpose of it for myself? And when I can understand the transaction, for example, in doom scrolling is dopamine, right? And that's what you're getting out of it. So it's firing those neurons in your brain, whether you want to call it entertainment or whatnot, but it's firing those dopamine. And so the conversation I have myself when I'm doom scrolling, did I have enough dopamine? Or how much dopamine is enough? Versus, oh, I'll just scroll till whatever time, or, I'll watch another 10 reels, whatever you're on, TikTok, whatever. If you make that conscious yourself that question, how much dopamine is enough? When do I know I had enough dopamine? If you can just figure that out for yourself, you know, it's easier to quit something that. And I use this same example for drinking as well. How much I if you've seen my other life videos, I've told you I've had some serious issues with drinking in the past. Some serious issues, almost destroying my fucking marriage issues. And it's because I just took my drinking real quick. I thought I could control my drinking. I went to the point where I quit drinking, I did all these things, and it never worked. None of it ever worked. Um, the only one that didn't work, I mean, did work, was the not drinking. That one worked perfectly. Um, but then I listened to, it was actually, I think I saw it on a clip. Jordan Peterson was talking about drinking, and then he was talking about, um, he said when if you have an issue with drinking, you ask yourself, like, I think it was two or three questions. Two questions. First question is, um, um, what? First question is how do you know when you had too much to drink? And second question is um, why do you know you had too much to drink? And the third one's like, wait, that's the same question. It's too early for me to be in this be philosophical, but basically, you just gotta ask yourself, why do you know you had too much to drink, and what you can do to stop yourself from drinking too much. And that really opened it up in my mind was okay, so when I got drunk, I'm like 90% of the time I'm a happy go lucky guy. 90% of the time. Also, thanks for the bronze medal, brother. And it was a Judify. It's hard to stop. Yeah, it is hard to stop. Very hard. But I'm just giving you my story and how I got through it. And I'm able now to drink responsibly. I can have two, three, four, maybe even five drinks in one night, and I don't have that tendency to ruin the night anymore, so to speak. Um, I just went out to the game with my wife and my brother-in-law. We went to the Warriors Suns game, and I had like two cocktails at home and I had like three beers over there. I was a little tipsy. I was fucking a little tipsy. And, it was a good night because, I asked myself, I figured out what the main root of the problem of my drinking was. It took me years to figure out what my issue was with it. And it wasn't the alcohol, it's what the alcohol took away from me. And what it took away was my inability to regulate my emotions. I figured that out. So the trick was to not get drunk and get tipsy. I can I can get, buzz, but I can't get drunk. That's what I figured out. Because once I got drunk, it was even though let's say 90% of the time it was good, that 10% when I'm faded, you know what I mean? When I'm faded, that's a scary 10%. I learned that I can't go there. That's the place where I cannot be not cohesive to me. Family. My rule is never to get there. Just don't get drunk. That's it. That's it. So once I start feeling buzzed, start feeling good, call it right there. I'm done drinking. I usually stop drinking early in the evening, and it's been going very well. I have a. It's all about having a good. I think a good relationship with um with substances or acts or behaviors that are not cohesive. Like doom scrolling is not productive. Drinking is not productive in certain ways. Drinking is, in a communal sense, just the drinking is super productive in a communal sense. And it brings people together. So it's this positive notions, even though it is in fact a poison. I don't lie to myself to understand it's a poison by now. But yeah, yeah, I feel like if you figure out what the price you're paying, it's a little bit easier whether or not you can judge on the scale if it's good for you or not. What is the most recent book that you have read that changed your? I don't read books, man. I don't read books. Um, I have I have a problem. I have Jordan Peterson's book. I would say I learn less from books. I learn more from examples. I listen to a lot of listen to other people's stories. The last book I listened to was I think was it was a good what the fuck was it called? It was called Green Light by Matthew McConaughey, which was just a fun book to listen to. Very fun book. I highly recommend it. But I won't say they changed my life. I'm very good at like hearing things people say, like snippets, and I'll sit there and I'll ponder it for a while. Like Matthew McConaughey said this thing on a podcast one time where he goes, he gives an example for what humble means to him, and his example of humble is that to be always open to learning more or understanding that there is more to learn. That's what basically and what he thinks humble is. And I was like, man, a good definition of humble because I've been kind of battling humbleness, you know what I mean? Because I don't like to, I don't want to brag. I don't want to come off as I'm bragging. I don't want to come off as a know it all. Uh, I just didn't really understand what it is to be humble until I got a definition that actually worked for me. So, what I mean by that is, I don't really learn a lot from books. I did read Maps and Meanings, Jordan Peterson's book, and I'll tell you right now, I regretted it because all I had to do was listen to maybe two seminars that he did on, the internet, or even long form podcasts that he did in there. And I got everything I needed out of that book in that 1.5 hour to 3 hours worth of podcasts. Like I probably got more out of that. I had this weird thing about books where I feel like there's too much filler. There's too much bullshit in books that I feel like don't need to be there. I feel like that's the case in a lot of forms of entertainment. There's too much bullshit. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm one to fast forward through scenes in a movie or a TV show that I feel like are filler. And it all stems back from, I don't know if you guys are real Dragon Ball Z fans. I'm a Dragon Ball Z tattoo. Those fucking super drawn out scenes. The whole fucking fighting Frieza in Namek. They call him Namek? I don't remember. But man, it was so long. It was so long, so drawn out. Like scarred me for life. And I don't like wasting time. Wasting time is one of those things that I keep doing. It's a hard time sitting still. Oh, and the roses. But I feel that same way with books. And the last book I physically read cover to cover was Hunger Games. And the first one, the good one. The last two books were fun. Actually, getting through those. But the Hunger Games one I read cover to cover because I was reading it to my girlfriend at the time. It was something that we did together. That was the only reason I read it cover to cover. And bring it back to the drinking. My girl left me because of my drinking problem. 100%. I'm very ashamed of it. Well, honestly, here's another thing I've been working on. The guilt. Another tip with you guys. Like, I'm not a I'm not a super religious man. I do study the Bible nowadays to a certain extent, but I look at it and use it as like what I think it was truly intended for. I think it was intended to guide immoral people in a righteous path. I think that's exactly what, in my opinion. Yeah, to think about it back then, so much scarcity, and how it and you got to keep people in line. How do you keep people in line when you don't have enough food for them? You tell them about promised land, be good to each other because then you get to go there and there. And it makes perfect sense to me as a tool to make people better. Is it manipulative? You could argue that. Let the means justify the ends, or the ends justify the means, I guess. We could argue that as well. I think it does totally more good than bad, but let me go back to my point before I go on a tangent too far into it. Hmm. There's a part when Jesus gets crucified. Don't basically it's about God's forgiveness and grace. Because when you think about it, well, Jesus died for He died for our sins, and because of that, we get to go to heaven. So basically, in a nutshell, from my understanding, is that we don't deserve God's grace and mercy, but we still get it no matter what, because that's what it. You get it no matter what. That's what I can understand from that whole story, and that means a lot to me because you know how they say in the Bible, you know, basically everyone like they're yourselves, you know, like person, what person. Don't call me. I'm not straight. I'm not gonna remember all this shit. But basically, that and I thought about that those writings and those teachings for a long time. Just thought about it and was like, well, that doesn't help. It doesn't work. You know, telling people love them like they're yourselves and love them like your brothers and you know, love your stranger like yourself. That doesn't work. That just doesn't work for normal people. I'll tell you that right now. And it just doesn't work because there's too much scarcity in the world. There's too many feelings, too much haves and has nots. So it's very difficult. And I'm not even just talking about monetary food. I'm just talking ability sometimes. Some people are just genetically wired to be harsher than others. I mean, so it just doesn't work. All right. So I figured out, oh, you know, that was the wrong message, in my opinion. The whole thing was, it shouldn't been that. It should have been about more or less dying on a cross about the grace and forgiveness of God. Because you got to think about it in a nutshell. Like, Jesus, don't call me again, but I believe he goes like Jesus says, the only good is God, and the good, only good go to heaven. So what does it mean? That means only God, only the good is God. So that's it. Hard stop. But even though that's the case, everyone gets to go to heaven. So what does that mean? Right. Well, if we can, I interpret it as meaning like you don't deserve to go there, but you get to go there because of God's grace, God's mercy. You're supposed to you're supposed to not go to I mean not go to heaven. And that's God's grace and mercy. So what I took from that is then I took that and then I put that on my entire life. Meaning everybody deserves grace and mercy, including yourself. It's a very hard thing to practice, very difficult thing to practice because there's people out there I can for sure don't deserve grace and mercy in my moral compass. But it doesn't work if you're selective. It doesn't work. You won't find peace if you are selective on who deserves it and who does not, because then you become the arbiter. You become God in that sense. You get to decide. And you get to judge the jury, executioner, and that's not cohesive to peace. You know, because when once you start harboring accusations, ill will towards a person, you hold that inside yourself, and that's not a peaceful thing. But this like the whole monk thing. Monks, they don't do that stuff. Indifferent about everything. But indifference is a very hard thing to obtain as well. So what I've understood from it, the grace and mercy, is that everyone deserves it, including yourselves. When I feel ashamed about something I did in the past, allow, allow myself to go through those feelings. Um, then I give myself grace, not forgiveness. So there's a difference between grace and forgiveness. So I think that's where people really get hung up because forgiveness is extremely difficult to do. Um, and we try to apply that to everybody in the world. It's impossible. Normal human, you don't have the emotional capability or capacity to deal with any of that stuff. But the beautiful thing about forgiveness, grace, grace and mercy, is you don't have to forgive someone if you give them grace. mercy. You give it to them even though they don't deserve it. And that's is a very difficult thing to learn to do, but it's probably one of the best things you can do in your life. And it's not like you're going to leave the let the wolves into the hen house. You're going to keep people that show tendencies that are not good. You know what I mean? Not It's not safe for the household, and you're going to keep those people away. You're going to keep them at arm's length. You're gonna not to let them near. It doesn't mean you're going to be super kind or anything like that to people. Like that's why I like the expression grace and mercy, because it doesn't mean you need to be nice. You don't need to be nice. You don't need to be forgiving. You could just give them their grace, because you should punish them. You should put them in your heart and hate these people. You should, but you won't. That's mercy, and that's grace. And the better you can do that, especially to yourself, dude, I promise you practice that. You get good at giving everyone, including yourself, grace and mercy, you're gonna find peace, because you're not gonna hold any grudges. You're not gonna hold any ill will. You can recognize that they're doing bad things. Like, I recognize that this is a bad situation. Was done by this person, but I'm not gonna be, you know, the judge. I'm not gonna hold any of that ill will inside of me. I try not to, at least. Man, it's a hard thing to practice, and I'm still practicing it every single day. I think we're just doing 55 today, bro. Homie is tired this morning. But yeah, and I don't know. Those are just things I've been working on this last couple years of my life, just to get my shit together. Terrestrial and celestial. Yeah, man. Whatever. That's three kingdoms. I don't know. I don't. Honestly, I don't really believe in heaven or hell, to be quite frank. It don't really make sense to me. I like to think. Oh well, so if you go look into like if you look at it scientifically, right? I'm like talking about quantum mechanics, and you look at like experiments like the lit experiment, I believe it was called, the light, where observation of the light changed its direction. When you think about stuff like that, and how consciousness or perception of reality, or what they call decoherence, which is the perception of matter or atoms or whatever. I'm not a scientist. Um, you figured out how important it is to be an observer of the universe. It's a special thing. I think we're special things because we get to observe the universe. Um, I like to think that, like I said, this is my opinion. This is what I just made up in my head. That we that because of decoherence, I think all conscious things have a singular point. I don't know. Like, that's the best way I could put it. Like, we return to our creator, and then, which I think is maybe the singular point of consciousness. Who knows? I listen to some fucking weird wackos talk about it. It's insane, but I love it. I think it sounds cool. It sounds way cooler than heaven and hell, to be honest. Because heaven and hell don't make no fucking sense. Heaven sounds like hell to me. Can you imagine existing with your current mindset for infinity? It sounds like hell. But all your fucking issues, and you know you got them. What you do? Just eat, drink, just fucking fuck bitches and eat ice cream all day in heaven? Do you think that's what's gonna happen? That's gonna make you happy for eternity? Fuck no, man. It sounds stupid, man. It just sounds good, and that's the ploy for religion, right? Be good here so you can have greatness there. It's just like it's an exchange, right? When you think about it in a nutshell, be good here, don't rob, steal, kill here, and then you get to go here and have everything you ever wanted. It's an exchange. I'm not saying they're lying to you. I don't believe it's true, but you can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. But to me, it sounds like an exchange, um, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sound like heaven to me. So for me, is I feel like heaven is just. I think heaven's a feeling, and I think it's a simple feeling. I think it's a. I think there's comfort in death. I don't know, whatever. My. That's where I kind of leave. I think there's just comfort in death because you don't have to think anymore. Thinking is just not a thing anymore. You don't suffer anymore when you're dead. I'm a big believer, and a foundational thing for me is that suffering is the price of existence. You know, that's the price you pay to be alive, and it would be it would it sounds miserable to me to you'd have to for eternity. That would, oh my god, can you imagine being with living with your parents and all the fucking relatives in fucking heaven? Oh my god, it's so stupid to me. I don't know. I'm not trying to hate on you religious folk, man. Believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. I don't really care. I'm just saying for me, examples. It makes sense to me growing up. What are we rambling about? I'm definitely not motivated, but we're still doing it. Doing it. I think we could lose. Yeah. Um. Anywho, um. Yeah. That's the sermon for today. We're gonna finish off our chest. We do. We are doing incline. I don't like a steep incline. I like a uh, low incline. I feel like it's just better. You get a better chest pump when it's a little bit low incline. So where it's always about the way down, not so much the way up. It's like it's a good one. We're doing this with the RDLs. This is way easier to do this with RDLs than it is with squats. We're almost done, anyways. I feel like I'm very gun shy about doing any extra tricep workout, man, because like when you get old, your joints just are not like when you were young, man. That I'm almost 40 and I say that now. I don't imagine what it is like 50. Like I know I remember I hear a lot of stories about people saying like my especially my father-in-law, he's like he really knows how old he was until he was like in his 50s. He felt the same all the way up to his 50s. And then I'm thinking like, man, like I noticed a difference between I'm already noticed a difference between like 28 and 35. Once I turned 30, 28, I noticed a huge difference between probably like 26 and 30. 28, I was probably at my prime, right? 28 to about 30 was my prime, I'd say, when I was my top physical capabilities. And then after 30, man, my back went out. And I understand very well that my back went out because for those 3 years, I was pushing hard. I mean, we were trying to get into the CrossFit games in local gym, and there was a lot of shitty fucking workouts, man, in between that and me turning 30 and my back going out. But then the cool thing is, after my back went out in the 30s, I recovered pretty quickly. It took me about 3 months to get back to close to 100%. Um, and then I was competing at a high level again, but not. I wouldn't say I was probably competing at high, as high or maybe slightly higher through prior to the injury. Um, this is right before COVID was happening. Um, but then I did after that, and turned 35. I noticed a steep decline in my cardiovascular capability, and it might have been because of COVID. We all stopped training as heavily during COVID. It very much could have been that, and I just never got it back since then. But definitely noticed a difference. Um, But since then, I have been just trying to hone in a new training style to reflect more quality of life, and versus pure size, strength, speed. Like I really toned it down a lot because after turning 35, I just really noticed that my recovery is just so shitty. Like, so shitty. And that's why after 35, I've been so focused on my sleeping habits. It's getting a lot better. I sleep better than I ever did my entire life now because all these things I practiced. And, whatever works for you works, but you just got to try it, man. I tried so many things, helped me sleep better, fucking so many things. And then for several years, I figured out what works the best for me. And now I'm sleeping a lot better, which is really helping with the training and my joints, to be honest. Eating is creatine's helping. It's pretty good. Vitamin D, fish oils, magnesium, glycinate. Nothing crazy. Not taking any fucking stupid ass AG1 or anything like that. Part of that shit, man. The only supplement I will ever take, and this is, I tell this all because we always fall for the fucking hooks, man. Muscle Goop, yeah. Muscle Goop today. No gooping. Tired because we gooped a little later than I wanted to last night. Um, I'm feeling good. Have you ever seen like a supplementation that tells you take this and you know you're gonna be energized and feel great and things like that? I promise you this. If you just had better sleeping um, tendencies, slept a little bit more consistently, there's nothing a drink or supplement could do that would give you that benefit. I promise you that. I promise you that. And let's say you already sleep enough, oversleep, sleep solid. There's no substance out there that will give you the benefits of a regular strength training session that's no more than 30 minutes a day for 3 times a week. There's no drug out there that would give you a benefit of that. Take that for what it's worth. Like, caffeine is great. I love caffeine. Energy drinks are great and all that. Those things are fleeting. They're momentary, and they're only tools to get you going into a better direction, like training and stuff like that. If you're just popping energy drinks to fucking make it through a goddamn drive, or to just get through your day, it might be a problem. You might want to focus more on your other habits. Another thing about caffeine, I only like to drink caffeine when there is a specific to be done. Caffeine is great when you have a singular task. Working out, focus on the workout. Playing games, it's great for video games because it keeps you focused. And if you did nicotine on top of that, it would really increase your focus. I tried nicotine. I want to do it. I get fucking nauseous when I take even a little bit of nicotine. Just stay away. I tried Alpha GP one. I think it's Alpha GP one. It works. I noticed a difference, but not enough to warrant the price. So it was like I think it was like $30 for 30 days supply. So it was $1 a day, which is not that much when you think about it. Um, I didn't think it was as necessary. But if you guys want to know, if you want to work out, right, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna school you guys on if let's say you're tired, you're unmotivated, and you need something to motivate you to work out hard and give you energy and also make you not as hungry. Here, I'll put you uh, on the perfect stack and do this at your own censored. I don't recommend doing this. I don't recommend doing this, but this is what I did. All right. So you're gonna go work out, you're not motivated, right? You want to pump. You want the pump. You want it? Is it drinking a Coke? Oh, Coke. I've done Coke while working out. It's not good. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, so here's what you do. Obviously, caffeine. So I would say anywhere between 200 and 300 milligrams of caffeine. You can take it in any form you want. Caffeine. Then you want L-arginine or citrulline malate, whichever. For me, I think L-arginine works the best. Then you want so L-arginine's help is good for pump. So it really helps your muscles fill up with blood. I feel citrulline malate supposedly does the same thing. The science goes back and forth with it, on whether or not it actually works or not. If you read some of the studies, it works for me, or I like to think it works for me, so that's why I recommend it. But it's inconclusive from what I read. Um, Beta alanine is a thing that makes your skin tingle. Histamine response is really good for pushing past your fatigue. So you got caffeine, L-arginine, or citrulline malate. Those are no explode, by the way, pre-workout.
And then you have your beta alanine. Okay, so now those things are pretty common in pre workouts. Okay, so the one that isn't common is over the counter, and you actually need to be 18 to buy. It's called Broncaid. Broncaid is a asthmatic medication. You're not using it for asthma. You're using it because there's a ingredient called ephedrine sulfate. You guys remember what's it called? Hydroxycut. Yeah, Hydroxycut had ephedrine in it, and that's why it works so well. It gave people energy, and it also suppressed their appetite. That's why it works so well. But then people started abusing it, so they pulled it out of the market. There's a version of it in Broncaid that you could take. You can only buy an X amount per month because it's ephedrine sulfate, and you take that maybe with some baby aspirin. I never really dabbled with baby aspirin. I think L-arginine, citrulline, and malate are enough for a pump, in my opinion. You take that stack, you're fucking working out. I promise you. You're gonna get the craziest pump. You're gonna be so energized. You're not gonna be hungry because of the ephedrine sulfate. That's a fucking good stack. Dude. That's a good stack. Dude. You do that. It's not that expensive too if you buy all the independent. If you buy caffeine pills, you can buy caffeine pills. You can get citrulline malate, and it's powder form. Beta alanine is powder form. Yeah. And then you get the ephedrine pills. Dude, you're gonna be fucking ready to lift the fucking world. I promise you that. I don't do any of that stuff anymore because I don't see the necessity for it for me. But I'm not gonna lie. I may have been in LA partying with the homies and feeling exhausted and drained. And I might have gone and got some ephedrine or some Broncaid, local pharmacy, and we just kept going. That shit fucking worked. That shit gets you pumped. Just to even just stay awake and party. You can take ephedrine and do that. That shit will cause your heart some heart problems if you abuse it, though. I promise you that. Look it up. It will cause heart problems. The funnest things are always a little bit dangerous, right? No, I just live through willpower. This is a little light. I kind of gotta have just listening to my body. Oh yeah, you could also take nicotine too. I forgot to add that. I never did nicotine though. Like I said, because it made me nauseous. You add nicotine on top of that too. You're gonna be super focused on your workout. Super focused. Again, warning. I suggest you not doing that, especially that ephedrine sulfate, because it works so good. It's addicting. Yeah, it works so good. It's addicting. I'm not gonna lie. If you have addictive tendencies, I would stay away from it because if you're gonna you're gonna be popping those things left and right. Um, but if you have some heart issues already, be careful, man. That shit might make that thing explode. Um, but yeah, that stuff works, and so um yeah, so it's a controlled substance for a reason. Anywho, but if you go to your like doctor in like a weight loss clinic, they'll give you ephedrine. You can get it prescribed to you, like the real shit. You need it. But if you're going to a weight loss doctor already, why don't you just get on GLP ones? I'm super pro GLP ones. I used to be anti, like, because of the whole wasting issue of it, where people's bone densities were diminishing. But then I figured out why. Well, they figured out why because these motherfuckers didn't work out at all before or after GLP ones, and then their eating habits were very poor. So the body just stripped your body from it of minerals and resources, and that's why you had fucking 27-year-olds with fucking, what do you call it? What do you call that when you have no bone density? What's up, Fernandez? Ashanti Fernandez? Fishing? What's up? So not motivated. I'm still working out. Yeah, this is way easier because usually I'll do squats with bench press. This feels this feels like vacation right now. Easy to do them together. I think we're gonna move up to the 75s though. Also, I always like to do single legged RDLs. It's just I have a natural, or probably over the course of my training career, that I shift. I'm so right leg dominant. The isometric movements are just overall better for me because um, I can notice these imbalances a little bit better. I used to just do it with both legs, but for me, it's more efficient, more beneficial for my body to do it isometrically. You can't easily do it with both legs. You definitely get the workout done a lot quicker. Sometimes quicker is just not better. Who forgot to put weight away? Under. I want to lift this heavy ass weight, but they know I'm going to put the barbell away. Also, here's a fun thing. Last year, I 3D printed these. Designed these hooks for my barbells to go against the wall. Printed with PETG, which is pretty strong and flexible compared to PLA, which is what most people print out of. PETG is what soda bottles are made out of, and they're still standing. You know, I'm generally surprised that they haven't broke. And I am pretty ginger when I take a barbell off and on, but pretty good design if you ask me, considering it's fucking plastic, soda bottle plastic. Don't buy a bench now. Okay, that was pretty light. We're going to the 90s. Going to the 90s. Got one more set of RDLs in the 90s. Oh, yeah. You see people do that. There's more fresh people in that game and arc raiders than ever, I feel like. I've been running into new people like last night. I ran into this kid who just got scared. He started shooting. And he seemed fairly new to the game because he couldn't aim for shit. Couldn't aim for shit. And then I rezzed him. I'm gonna make a short. I'm making a short. I already made the short actually. I just need to post it. And I rezzed him and I gave him a bunch of shit. I gave him like 4 blueprints I just found earlier that match. I don't fucking need it. Yeah, there's a lot of new people. I would say that for sure because the way they're playing is like, they look lost. They look lost the whole time. Yeah. You put a wing on. Oh yeah, I did. cut or uncut? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, I got you. I get what you're saying. Um, that's for me and God to know. How about that? Today? And my parents. My parents know because they were there. My wife knows, and every sexual partner I've had in my past knows, and my OnlyFans people know. I'm just joking. I'm not desperate enough to do hoe shit. Um, but yeah, I did put a wing on my Tesla. It was $135 on Amazon. I bought it, I think, 6 months when I bought the car, so it's been on there for 2 months. It's only held on with a double-sided 3M tape too, which is fucking crazy. I believe it's still on. I've been waiting for the day for it to fall off. Hey man, I'm just saying, double-sided sticky tape was is not like what it used to be. It's so much better now. The crazy thing is there's a carbon fiber one that comes with a sport model, and you can actually buy it. I think for $300 from Tesla, and it's also held by 3M tape. Fucking 3M tape for the win, dude. Fucking A. I think after this summer though, I'm probably gonna have to pull it off and reapply tape on it. I think I'm gonna wrap it too. I'm gonna wrap it matte black or paint it matte black. It's a project. I just fucking fixed the sensor in this thing too, the front sensor. And I have a video about it too. I haven't posted yet. I have to edit it. But yeah, the Tizzy. I love this car. I wish I wasn't underwater on it because I bought it at the wrong time, but it's life. Can't win them all. Thinking about rolling over the debt onto a brand new one, but then I just hate how they look. I wouldn't suggest people doing that, by the way. You do understand you're just paying more interest on top of new debt. So you're still underwater no matter what. But people see hear a new car and they think, good. The only reason I was going to do that was because I wanted the new car. I was willing to take that hit on it, knowing very well I would have paid more interest and more tax on accumulated debt. I want to pay tax on the old, pay on the new debt. But I just say I'm aware. I know the deal. I chose not to because I don't like how the new Model 3 headlights like. They look fucking stupid. They look like Chinese people. They're slinty ass fucking eyes. I'm not saying Chinese people look stupid. I'm just saying that the slanted little tiny beady eye thing is not for me, man. Hate it. Now, for me, I would disagree. For you, go for it. For me, I'm more focused on just getting those muscles to activate, really contracting, really controlling the descent, and I can get away with about 32, no, 24 kgs. So it's like 50 pounds, I think, 54 pounds. I can get away with it. Everybody else, I still feel the pump. Man, when you get older, it's all about just keeping your back strong. You just don't want to injure your back doing something stupid, especially ego lifting. I say this every stream. Fastest way to lose your gains is to get injured. Don't lift with your ego. Do it. Talking about ego, we're gonna do these 90s for this flat bench now, so see how this goes. Um, Doing it because the 75s felt pretty freaking light. I was able to do like 13, I think. It's probably because we went so light on our incline today. Ooh, Lord. 180 pounds. weighed myself the other week, 164 pounds. This is 25 pounds, no, 15 pounds heavier than me. The goal is 8. I think we might get 10. You can dream it, you can believe it, you can do it. How does that saying go? I always think about like Ronnie Coleman. Be a bodybuilder. Nobody want to lift this heavy ass weight. Bitch. One more. Oh, that was pretty heavy. You got 10. That was good. And remember, only fags drop their weights. Best believe I catch you. Well, I probably wouldn't do anything. But you get caught dropping the heavy weights at the gym, man. Big boys don't like that. Because you end up bending the dumbbells. Plus, honestly, if you can't put the weight down, you shouldn't be lifting it, in my opinion. It's one thing to drop a barbell from like a deadlift standpoint. It's actually more risky to drop a dumbbell. You can sprain your wrist pretty easy dropping a dumbbell. The roll, hit somebody. I've seen that happen a few times. But again, RDLs, low controlled. The weight. It's about the stress you're putting on your muscle. This is just a good sweet spot. Plus, it's single-legged. If I was doing both legs, I'd do way more weight. Use a barbell. To be honest, I mean, this movement, single-legged RDL with an elevated heel, is low risk, very high reward. Very high reward. My glute is on. Go. Almost done, boys. Almost done. We got one more set of bench. This is our last set here. I think we're done, man. I might do a little bit more triceps. Might. Yeah. More to do after this. Honestly, the last stream I did, I'm working. I don't think I could do that anymore, dude. It takes too much. I make too many errors on shipping those orders that I would like. So I'm never gonna stream me actually working anymore. I need to be focused on the task. Plus, it took so much longer than it normally did. Okay, that's it. We're done. We're done. All right. We got one more set of bench. We're done for the workout today. And it's still asleep. So we might be able to get away with a couple goop runs. Yeah. Okay. So we got to do some cardio, man. I'll do it today, later today. I got to do my So my cardio. You saw my last stream. I don't do like long distance. I don't do low impact. I do. I just do intervals like the bike or running, or anywhere between like 2 to 4 minutes, a 2 to 4 minute break. And I'm working at like 80 to 85% capacity every time. So I'm pushing myself pretty aggressively for that time window. I do that because this Swedish or Norwegian or something study came out. This type of interval training, and it was just super beneficial for overall cardiovascular health, putting your lungs. So that's why I don't do it. I don't do it for why soccer moms do it. I do it for weight loss. It's kind of retarded if you ask me. You're doing cardio for weight loss because it's more efficient to eat less than it is to work out more. Especially if you're on a heavy caloric decline and you're stressing your body out, the likelihood of your body getting beat up or is a lot higher. Recovery is less. It's better just not eating. Like, minimize your risk. But that's just me. But if you're like, you ever see those? Man, I saw them today. A lot. Like, I need to lose. They lose their weight and then the arms. So like my arms are so flabby. I was like, because you don't lift anything, bitch. I always over here bullshitting with these 15s. That's why I said it's exactly what I said to them. Because you're over here bullshit with these 15s, these 10s, man. You need to be over there. And they're like, oh, it's too heavy. I was like, well, they continue to have flabby arms. I was not your in the beginning. I was one of those coaches. As I got more relaxed with the public speaking and meeting new people every single day. By the way, it's a good skill for people that are gun shy is a personal trainer or something like that, because you got to get in front of people every. You have to get not. You got to be comfortable in the uncomfortable situations. You're teaching classes that are like 45 people in one class. That's a skill, bro. That's a skill that I think this new generation is not gonna fucking have. To get in front of 45 people. I know there's people TikToking and live streaming now. They can do that. That's to thousands, but the difference when you can see the sweat on their brow, and versus fucking listening to the goddamn chat. It's a skill, dude, and I think it's gonna be a rarer skill the older we get. But what was I saying? Yeah, man. I want flabby arms, man. Lift some fucking heavy weight. I said, and then we're gonna end the stream. I'm gonna finish off with a little bit more triceps, but I'm. Oh, okay. We got 10 last time. I'm hoping for 8. I'll be happy with 8. Definitely feels heavier. Wait, we'll be back at the hundreds before you know it. We'll be back at the hundreds before you know it. Anywho, that's the stream today, guys. We are gonna be streaming tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is gonna be back and shoulders and quads. Oh my god, tomorrow is gonna be fucking brutal. We have squats, we have back, and and we have shoulders tomorrow. So uh, I don't know if I want to keep the split. It was way easier to do bench and RDLs together. Way easier, but it's gonna be way harder to do squats and rows. Now that I think about it, I'm almost thinking about just putting my squats later in the day. But then here's the thing, and I'll leave you guys, is if I split my workout, you know, my thing is keep it simple. So the simpler I can keep things, the more likely I'm gonna keep those habits. So if I split the workout, let's say I do one in the morning, one at night, the probability I do the one in the night gets lower and lower because there's a lot of things in between that workout uh, and between this workout and that workout. So, my accuracy is probably gonna be a lot lower on hitting that one. So even though it sounds good on paper, because it's just probably get a better workout, with my lifestyle, I don't think it's as cohesive. I think it's gonna be more detrimental. So probably not gonna do that. This light is terrible. I need to get new lighting for this garage. Um, but yeah, it is better, way better lighting. Anywho, that's it. That's it for today's workout. Catch you guys tomorrow morning. Remember we're doing back, shoulders, and fucking squat. Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. It sounded great until I said it right now. All right, we'll suffer together. Peace.